Sri Sachidananda Sadguru Sainath Maharaj Ki Jai. Sri Sai SATCHARITRA, an Insight. Episode 153. My humble prostrations at the lotus feet of our Sadguru Sai. By the divine grace of Sai, an attempt has been made to translate the gist of the divine discourse of Sri Ramanathan brother telecasted in Sai TV. This is purely done to share the glory of Sai and his divine teachings with more insight to the aspirants. Om Gurur Brahma Gurur Vishnuhu Gurur Devo Maheshwaraha Guru Sakshat Parabrahmam Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Devotees, in the previous episode, we heeded to the stories of Bal Gangadhar Tilak and his visit to Shirdi along with his close companion Sri Dada Saheb Kaparde. In this connection, it is inevitable for us to understand the association that Sri Dada Saheb Kaparde had with Sri Sai Baba. We came to know that Dada Saheb Kaparde was a renowned lawyer, scholar, political activist, thus gained name and fame among the people of India and abroad. Dada Saheb Kaparde was also a great devotee of Sri Sai Baba, and during his visit to Shirdi, he wrote down the events that took place in Shirdi, the socio and economic conditions of Shirdi, and about the people that visited Sri Sai Baba in his diary, which is another treasure in the list of Sai literatures, says Pujya Sri Narasimha Swamiji. Many details from this diary have been published in Sai Leela magazine, and Pujya Sri Narasimha Swamiji compiled the information that were written down in the diary and said that this is an authentic proof for the incidences narrated in Sri Sai SATCHARITRA by Hemat Panji. So Swamiji, after compiling all the informations, published it in the name Shirdi Diary. Many important details were noted down in this diary, such as the day when Mega was liberated, which falls on January 19, 1912. The diary also has particulars about the physical and mental state of Mega 2 or 3 days prior to his death and Sri Sai Maharaj's conversation with him on those last days of Mega. Such priceless informations are recorded in an orderly manner in the diary by Dada Saheb Kaparde. Devotees, we knew that Sri Sai Maharaj has advised Upasani Maharaj to stay in the Khandoba Mandir for 4 years and do his spiritual practices, whereas unfortunately he couldn't complete this 4 years term period and he left the Khandoba Mandir after 3 years and few months. This information was unknown to others and everyone were under the conviction that Upasani Maharaj stayed for 4 years. But while skimming through this diary, one gets the proof that he didn't finish the 4 years stay at Khandoba temple. Thus, Dada Saheb Kaparde's diary provided historical evidence for the miracles recorded in Sri Sai SATCHARITRA. This book is indeed a precious treasure and has been published by Shirdi Sai Sansthan, which is sold at a very nominal price of Rs 35. We shall now listen to the life story of this great devotee, Dada Saheb Kaparde, to understand the immense blessings showered by Sri Sai Baba upon him, how he was rescued by Sainath Maharaj during difficult situations, and various incidences of his life related to Sri Sai Baba. On 27th August 1854, Ganesh Sri Krishna Kaparde, alias Dada Saheb Kaparde, was born. The parents were very happy as his birth took place on Vinayak Chaturthi and named him as Ganesh. Krishna was his father's name. Then Kapar Day is derived from the Sanskrit word Kapardin. The word Kapardin means the one who has matted hair locks, that is Lord Shiva. Thus, he got the name Ganesh Sri Krishna Kaparde. But he was popularly known as Dada Saheb Kaparde. The term Dada Saheb is a prefix used as a mark of respect to the person. So, his full name became Sri Dada Saheb Ganesh Sri Krishna Kaparde. He graduated with an LLB and prospered as a leading lawyer in the district of Amaravati. When Kapar Day appears in the court during prosecution for argument, the defense lawyer would be dumbstruck watching the analytical, competitive, and attractive legal skills of Kapar Day. He was also completely engaged in the freedom struggle movement, was closely associated with great freedom fighters such as Bal Gangadhar Tilak and Subhash Chandra Bose. Devotees can find the pictures on the internet of G.S. Kaparde and Subhash Chandra Bose seated together. Similarly, he was in close contact with Tilak and was considered as his personal assistant in various political matters related to the freedom struggle movement, says Sri Sai SATCHARITRA. But when we look at the picture of G.S. Kaparde with Tilak, they both seem to be in par with each other as both were seated, collected in the same picture. These photographs are uploaded on the internet. Likewise, during the British rule, a very powerful committee known as Privy Council was formed and Kaparde travelled to England to conduct Tilak's appeal to this council. Intelligence reports indicate that along with Bipin Chandra Pal, he was at this time associated with the India House. Also, a team of delegates were sent to England in the year 1919 and Dada Saheb Kaparde was one among those delegates. The others were K. G. Mehta, Lokmanya Bal Gangadhar Tilak, Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel and Mr. Kelkar. Photographs can be found on the internet. He has also toured with Annie Besant. Devotees, all these incidences are quoted here for all of you to understand Dada Saheb Kaparde's social status, his popularity, his association with the great leaders and famous personalities. That was the period when Tilak's words were taken as the mantra of the nation. Every citizen would abide by his command as Tilak was the only most widely known political leader prior to Mahatma Gandhi, and Dada Saheb Kaparde, a very popular figure, was highly respected and was so closely connected with such a great freedom fighter. Despite his popularity and fame, few instances that happened turned the plans of his life topsy-turvy. All of us have read the history of India's freedom struggle movement, which reveals that the Indian National Congress had a split consisting of a group of people with moderate thinkers and the others were radicals headed by Tilak. During the year 1907 and 1908, there were many disagreements owing to Tilak's non-acceptance of the moderate views. In 1907, at the annual session of the Congress Party, the party split into the radicals faction led by Tilak, Pal and Lajpat Rai, and the moderate faction. As Dada Saheb Kaparde was in close contact with Tilak, he was also considered as one of the leaders of the radicals. During the year 1908, on July 3rd, Tilak was arrested and sent to the Mandela prison at Burma. He was in jail for 6 years. During the British rule, if a freedom fighter was imprisoned, then there is no assurance that he would come out alive after their term period. The prisoners were exploited during the colonial rule. Mortality rates were high in the prisons. The prisons were often plagued with several diseases and illnesses. As the prisoners were exposed to unhygienic conditions and even basic facilities were denied to them. Slowly, the British government imprisoned the radicals one by one and declared as traitors of the British government. Next person in the list was Dada Saheb Kaperde, and tension prevailed in the minds of the associates of Kaperde as they expected an arrest warrant on Kaperde would be issued by the British government at any moment. At this juncture, Kaperde was sent to Shirdi for Sri Sai Maharaj's darshan. Dada Saheb Kaperde was a fervent devotee of Sri Gajanan Maharaj at Shegaon, and by his incredible clairvoyant powers, he was certain that Kaperde can escape from this plight only if he surrenders at the holy feet of Sri Sai Baba. Because after the arrest of Tilak in the following years, that is 1909 and 1910, the situation in the country was very alarming. So Sri Gajanan Maharaj instructed him to go to Shirdi. Kaperde understood that his arrest was imminent, and the best way to avoid this situation would be to flee to a new and unfamiliar location. Thus, as advised, he journeyed to Shirdi and had his first darshan of Sri Sai Baba on December 5th, 1910. He stayed for only 8 days. Sri Sai Maharaj, the Supreme Lord, being aware of the forthcoming danger of Kaperde, secured him and kept him out of danger. The most merciful Sri Sai Baba spoke thus: Kaperde, don't worry, this is also your home, like the one in Amaravati. Devotees, Sri Sai, the most compassionate mother, made his child feel at home in Shirdi, though the worldly home of Dada Saheb Kaperde was at Amaravati, where he was living a very joyful life, was very successful in his career as the most influential advocate of Amaravati. Taking an active part in the freedom struggle movement and as a member of the Legislative Assembly, but not safe. This situation has been beautifully articulated by Pujya Sri Narasimha Swamiji in his Sai Sahasranamavali, verse 671 as Om Baya Santrashta Kaparde Amoga Abhaya Varapradaya Namaha. Salutation to the one who gave his unfailing and sure boon of protection to G.S. Kaparde, who was much afraid. The pronouncements of Sri Sai Maharaj gave greater confidence to Kaparde. Hence, after staying in Shirdi for 8 days, he resolved to go back to Amaravati and continue his lawyer profession, as well as determined to fight against the British government in a secret manner. Sri Sai's kind and assuring words gave him courage, and he felt that Sri Sai Baba's blessings are upon him and no danger will befall on him. Observing the attitude of Dada Saheb Kaparde, Pujya Sri Narasimha Swamiji proclaims that he should have reaped more benefit of the physical presence of the Guru to advance in his spiritual path. But unfortunately, his interests, desires on the worldly things and other matters were greater than his inclination towards spirituality. Hence, it seems as though Kaparde journeyed more towards worldly fame. This incident took place around the end of 1910. After going back to Amaravati, Kaparde slowly realized that the friction has not gone down. He thought he will be busy with his court cases, but he was always anxious about his arrest. because if he gets caught, then it is certain that he will be sent to a prison outside India, and the detention period would be for a minimum of 7 to 8 years. Public was also aware of this situation. Though Kaperde was a leading advocate, if he gets arrested, then the cases that he is handling will also come to a standstill. Hence, people were hesitating to get their cases resolved through him, so the number of cases handled by him came down to a considerable number. Ultimately, that led to a downfall in his career. Kaperde was in a fix, and recalling the advice of Sri Gajanan Maharaj, he again came back to Shirdi. So this was his second visit to Shirdi and was a pretty long stay consisting of 3 months and 10 days. This also happened in the month of December. He arrived on December 6, 1911 and stayed until March 15, 1912. During his stay, he wrote down several significant details, which is indeed a gem of information to all the Sai devotees. Though he was staying in Shirdi, the British government didn't slacken their hold on him. Rumors began to spread that he is mentally sick and has taken asylum at Shirdi with some saint. As we are aware that during the initial days of Sri Sai Maharaj's sojourn in Shirdi, he was considered as a mad fakir by many. Now they began to talk that Dada Sahib Kaperde has gone and settled down with that mad fakir, hence he must have also gone insane. In fact, this was one of the methods adopted by Sri Sai Maharaj to safeguard Kaperde from the eyes of the British government, which was waiting to take him under control and to get him more focused on his spiritual path. In this condition, the British government was forced to postpone their plans of taking him under custody, as that might also make Kaperde gain more popularity among the people, which might lead to unrest in the country. Dada Sahib Kaperde's wife had also come to Shirdi and stayed with him, but her stay in Shirdi was almost for 7 months. During her stay, she had experienced many miracles, and we shall heed to them in the coming episodes. Lakshmi Kaperde is the main character of the story. Still, we need to discuss in detail about Kaperde's life, as his contribution to Sai devotees is very significant. Once to Lakshmi Kaperde, Sri Sai spoke thus: "Mother, the governor came with a spear, and I had a tussle with me to drive him away, and that he finally compromised with me." Though the British government suspended their plan of arresting Kaperde, they had a spy to watch his activities all the time. The governor's plan of issuing an arrest warrant on Kaperde got postponed. This transformation is narrated by Sri Sai using a metaphor as a battle between spear and tussle. But no such weapons were used, and Sri Sai's supreme powers brought this change of action. This situation is also narrated perfectly by Pujya Sri Narasimha Swamiji in his 222nd Sai Sahasra Namavali as Om Kaperde Klesha Nasine Namaha. Salutations to the one who removed the cares and anxieties of G.S. Kaperde. Devotees, Pujya Sri Narasimha Swamiji is a very competent writer and is known for his clarity and eloquence. He didn't write Ganesha Kaperde or Sri Krishna Kaperde Klesha Nasine Namaha, as that would indicate Dada Sahib Kaperde alone, but so brilliantly Swamiji had mentioned as Om Kaperde Klesha Nasine Namaha implies Dada Sahib Kaperde Kaparde's wife Lakshmi Kaparde, and his son Balwant Kaparde as well. Out of all the blessings showered by Sri Sai Baba, his protection to Balwant Kaparde when he had an attack of bubonic plague is the highest of all. During Kaparde's stay at Shirdi, his 2 months-old son was attacked by plague, and the most merciful Sri Sai Baba took the illness upon his body and saved the child from death. This Leela has been narrated in Sri Sai SATCHARITRA by Hemad Pant. Balwant was suffering from bubo and high fever, and the mother was in tears pleading for Sri Sai's grace. Sri Sai Baba spoke in parables, assuring her that all would be well. When she couldn't understand his words, Sri Sai Maharaj lifted his kafni and showed his own bubos and told her that he had to bear all these to save her son. At that moment, the anxieties in the mind of this mother got removed, and this is appropriately pointed out by Pujya Sri Narasimha Swamiji in the above Sahasranamavali. Also, the miracle of Sri Sai healing the plague of Kaparde's son is aptly quoted in the Sai Sahasranamavali, verse 222 as Om Kaparde Putra Rakshartam Anubhuta Tadamayaya Namaha. Salutation to the one who cured the plague of G.S. Kaparde's son and drew the plague onto his own body. Devotees, Kaparde's family has been very fortunate to have been shielded by Sri Sai's love and care. There are many amazing Leelas related to Kaparde's family, and we shall listen to them in the coming episode. Bow to Sri Sai, peace be to all. Om Sai Ram.